This is the Sony A75, and this is the legendary FX3. The FX3 is great, but the A75 is 5 years newer. In a lot of ways, the A75 is just the better camera overall. So today, I want to break down all the upgrades that truly matter. For most people buying today, the A75 pulls ahead. First up, the new 4-axis multi-angle screen. It's a 3.2-inch screen, up from 3 inches on the FX3. The upgrade isn't just the size of the screen, it's actually how it moves. The screen finally tilts the way I've always wanted for gimbal work, instead of swinging fully out to the side like the FX3. The A75 lets you tilt and angle the screen without swinging the screen out. It's a small change that makes a big difference. The screen itself is also noticeably sharper. Focus confirmation is easier to see, and overall, it's a decent upgrade. The A75 takes a 7K image and downscales it to 4K, which in return makes the image sharper overall. It's honestly not a huge upgrade, but from these side-by-side examples, there is a difference. It's a welcome upgrade. Now let's talk about something that used to be a huge concern with Sony cameras, overheating. Short version, it's basically a non-issue now. In my testing, the A75 recorded well over 2 hours in 4K 60 in 75 to 80 degree weather, without problems, no warnings, no shutdowns, just kept recording. That's impressive and something you can rely on. If you're shooting interviews, events, podcasts, or long-form content, this matters way more than most specs. Battery life is another area where the A75 pulls ahead. I matched settings on both cameras and hit record until the battery died. The FX3 lasted 1 hour and 30 minutes. The A75 lasted 2 hours, 10 minutes. That's 40 extra minutes. Doesn't sound huge, but in practice, it means fewer battery swaps, fewer interruptions, and more peace of mind when you're filming. Updated autofocus is a huge upgrade. It's faster, more reliable, and easier to trust. Subject tracking is more consistent. Eye autofocus locks on quicker, and it holds focus even when movement gets unpredictable. This is the small rig cage that I went with for the A75, and I couldn't be happier. Super sturdy with 3 points of contact, which makes it super solid. There is a NATO rail on the side and an arc of Swiss on the bottom. With this cage, it feels better in the hand and protects the camera. Link for the cage is in the description. The A75 shoots 33 megapixel photos. I'm not a photographer, but my buddy Elmer is. Check it out.
33 megapixels. We shoot weddings mostly. Weddings, portraits, engagements, things like that. I think they made it smart not to go so big. I think if you want to go with something that has more megapixels, that's when you go to the R line of Sony cameras. As far as dynamic range, that was the biggest selling point besides the autofocus on this camera, why I upgraded. Because the dynamic range, right now you can't really see it, that doesn't really matter because it's overcast. But on a session that we did recently where there was a little bit of sun out, you could see that it was doing a much better job than the A9 did. The A9 was fine, it had about 13 stops of dynamic range, but this one has about 16 stops of dynamic range. And obviously that's just gonna give you a little bit more options in post. On our channel, I'm gonna post a video showing about dynamic range, and obviously I wanted to see the full scope of it. So, Jason, back to video. I'm sure you have a lot to say about video, but for photography, dynamic range, autofocus is ridiculous on this camera. And as far as megapixels, I'm glad that they didn't overdo it with that. They hit the right mark.
Thanks, Elmer. Appreciate you. At the end of the day, the A75 is the better overall camera, and that's the way it should be. It's 5 years newer than the FX3. That doesn't mean you should sell your FX3. The FX3 is still a great camera, and it delivers incredible results. But if I were buying a second camera today, I wouldn't buy the FX3. I would buy the A75. It does more, better upgrades, it costs way less. Of course, we all know the FX3 Mark II is coming, and when it does, that might change everything. Thanks for watching, see you next time.